Failure. It's a word that strikes fear into so many hearts. It's a feeling that we've all experienced, one that makes us doubt our abilities and question our worth. But what if I told you that failure is not your enemy? What if I told you that the very moments you're afraid of could be the moments that shape your future in ways you can't even imagine right now? Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down at the jagged rocks below. Fear grips you. The idea of falling seems unbearable, but what if, instead of falling, you learn to fly? That's the true power of failure. It's the edge that pushes us, the challenge that shapes us, the force that fuels our greatest growth. Today we're diving deep into failure, not as an end, but as a beginning. A tool, a teacher, and, ultimately, the key to unlocking your fullest potential. Number 1. Embracing failure as a learning experience. Let's be clear, failure isn't just something that happens to the unlucky few. It's universal. Every single person who has ever achieved greatness has failed, often more times than they've succeeded. The difference lies in their perspective. They didn't run from failure, they didn't let it define them, they embraced it. Failure strips us bare. It forces us to confront our flaws, our weaknesses, and our missteps. And that's a gift, because in that raw, vulnerable state we have the chance to see ourselves clearly. We learn what works and what doesn't. We discover strengths we didn't know we had, and weaknesses that need to be addressed. Failure in its purest form is feedback, raw, honest, and unfiltered. Think about the moments in your life when you've learned the most. Were they the moments when everything was going perfectly? Probably not. It's the challenges, the setbacks, the moments when you felt like giving up. Those are the moments that taught you what you're truly capable of. When you see failure not as a dead end but as a detour, your entire perspective changes. It becomes less about what went wrong and more about what can be learned. Number 2. Turning setbacks into fuel. Failure is not the end of the road, it's the fuel that propels you forward. But to harness that power, you have to be willing to face it head on. You can't ignore it, you can't sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. You have to confront it, analyze it, understand it. Every failure carries a lesson, but it's up to you to uncover it. That means digging deep, asking tough questions, and being brutally honest with yourself. And approach failure with a sense of pride. Why did things go wrong? What could you have done differently? These aren't easy questions to answer, but they're necessary. Because the insights you gain from those answers are the building blocks of your next success. When you approach failure with curiosity instead of fear, it transforms. It stops being something to avoid and becomes something to embrace. Suddenly, failure is no longer a setback, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to refine your approach, to sharpen your skills, and to grow in ways you never thought possible. And let's not forget about motivation. Failure has a way of lighting a fire inside us. It reminds us of what's at stake. It pushes us to dig deeper, to try harder, to refuse to settle for anything less than our best. When you let failure fuel you, it becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Number 3, building resilience. Resilience is the secret weapon of anyone who's ever turned failure into success. It's the ability to bounce back, to keep going even when the odds are stacked against you. But resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. At the heart of resilience is a growth mindset, the belief that you can learn, adapt, and improve. When you have a growth mindset, failure isn't a threat. It's a challenge. It's an invitation to grow, and that mindset changes everything. It shifts your focus from what went wrong to what you can do better next time. But resilience doesn't just come from within. It's also about the people you surround yourself with. A strong support system can make all the difference. When you have people who believe in you, who encourage you, and who remind you of your worth, it's easier to keep going even when things get tough. Self-compassion is another crucial piece of the puzzle. Failure is hard enough without beating yourself up over it. Instead of criticizing yourself, practice kindness. Treat yourself the way you would treat a friend who's going through a tough time. Remind yourself that failure is part of the process and that it doesn't define you. Number 4, turning failure into a catalyst for success. The journey to success is rarely a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and unexpected detours. And that's okay, because those detours are where the real growth happens. When you look at failure as a catalyst, everything changes. It stops being something to fear and becomes something to harness. Each setback becomes a stepping stone. Each mistake a lesson. Each failure a step closer to your ultimate goal. The key is persistence. No matter how many times you fall, you have to get back up. You have to keep moving forward, even when it feels like the world is against you. Because the truth is, success isn't about never failing. It's about never giving up. Failure has the power to transform you, to shape you into someone who is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever thought possible. It's not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. So embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you toward the extraordinary life you're meant to live. So here we are, at the end of this journey through failure. But in truth, this isn't the end. It's just the start of a new chapter for you. Failure is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. It's a force that can break you or build you, and the choice is entirely yours. Will you let it stop you, or will you let it fuel you? Remember, every great success story is filled with chapters of failure. It's the thread that runs through all triumphs, binding together the lessons, the growth, and the resilience that make success possible. So don't be afraid of failure. Don't run from it. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to become the person you were always meant to be. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful insights and motivation to keep you on the path to greatness. Let's continue this journey together. Thank you for watching, and remember, failure is not the end. It's your greatest beginning.